Here's a really hard truth. A lot of agency owners want to scale, but they're secretly hoping they're never going to actually have to get on the phone or learn how to set appointments for themselves. Now, here's the truth. If you don't know how to fish for yourself, there's a chance that you will always stay hungry. And worse, you'll never be able to show other people or train other people how to fish for you. So in this third part of the Prospecting in a Box series, I'm going to walk you through the 5 critical steps to build an appointment setting machine, not just have leads that kind of trickle in onto your calendar, but stay consistent so you can fill your calendar with qualified leads, whether you're doing it yourself or leading and building a team. Now, we'll break down the exact script, follow-up process, and teach you all the stuff you need to do this like a pro. And it starts with the first step, right? Which is really mastering one simple conversation that actually gets people to say yes to your sales call. Let's dive in. All right, cool. So let's talk about this 5-step process that you can use to build a 7-figure appointment setting system. Again, this is going to be part 3 of the series. So let's just dive right in. Step 1, you need a simple script. Now, I'm going to actually break down our current setting script I have for you right now. I'm going to pull that up, but if you're just kind of winging it on every conversation, it's going to make it really challenging to get the results. Now, I've done more of a full breakdown of this on the channel, so I'll give you the quick version of it right now. Let's take a look. All right, so from a really high level view here, we have the introduction of the call. On the left here, we're going to have objections that you will likely get. And on the right here are all the qualification questions. And then lastly, the tie down to set the appointment. So I'm just going to really quickly read through how we do this. I'm not going to hit on every single point, but you can watch the full breakdown in the other video here on my channel. So it's going to go something like this. Hey, this is Alex, right? Hey, Alex, it's just Brian here from John Schlinsky's team. Looks like you responded to our Prospecting in a Box ad on Facebook, so I just wanted to see if that would even be helpful for you. You run a marketing agency, right? Cool, got it. I know I'm calling you out of the blue. Do you mind if I ask just a couple quick questions to see if it maybe makes sense for us to connect at a later time? It should only take a moment or two. Awesome. Well, I guess was there something specific you were looking for since you opted in? What did you see or hear that made you think we could potentially help? Got it. Okay. So I can kind of understand, is there a particular goal that you have in mind you're trying to achieve? All right. And so where are you at right now? So I know what that distance is you need to go. And how are you currently getting clients or pricing that? Okay. Got it. Understood. So what is, assuming we're even able to help, what is your timeline for, starting to take steps towards that goal? And obviously, awkward part here, but there's a financial commitment required to work with us. Assuming everything makes sense, do you even have capital set aside to be able to kind of reinvest back into the business growth? Got it. Anyone else need to be involved in that conversation that we should rope in? Awesome. So based on everything you shared, I think the best idea is going to be to get on a call with our team. We can definitely point you in the right direction and give you some good feedback. On this call, we'll go over, what it might look like to team up. And if it makes sense, we can have a conversation about that. What time zone are you in? Great. So how does tomorrow at 3 p.m. work? Okay. So before we hop off, how familiar are you with what we do? And do you mind if I kind of share and I'll keep it really brief? Cool. Elevator pitch. Now, I'm going to personally connect you with XYZ person on our team. You'll get a couple of auto texts as well. Just watch that demo video in those texts to get a better idea of what we do, so we're on the same page. It's got a lot of frequently asked questions people have. And then do me a small favor, if anything changes, you need to reschedule, just let us know ahead of time so we're not wondering what happened to you. But yeah, that was a very, very fast version of this process. But just so you kind of are clear, in the qualification piece, we're wanting to confirm a need and desire, what their current situation is, their timing and urgency, their budget, and then the authority to make a decision. So this is a really simple process you can kind of take someone through. Obviously, there are some objections that you will potentially get on those calls. It's just really good to have this as your training wheels to be able to go through it, get someone on a call, and then book more appointments. Because like I kind of shared in the last video, a good funnel will typically get a self-booking rate of around 10, 12, 15%. What happens to the remaining 85% of people who don't self-book? Don't just let them float off into the ether. Have a process by which you pick up the phone and you call them as quickly as possible, and eventually you can leverage a team to help you do this. All right, so step number 2, speaking of calling them as quickly as possible, there was this study done by MIT and HubSpot where they took the journeys of 16,000 leads through different businesses. And what they found is if you can call a lead within 5 minutes, it increases the likelihood that they buy your service by more than 100x. X, which is a crazy, crazy, ridiculous number. And it's not just how likely they are to book a call, it's how likely they are to actually buy the product too, because you are striking while the metaphoric iron is hot. And there's another kind of part of that study that was talking about how 80% of your calls are going to be booked within the first 24 hours from the people who opt in. Then 90% of all of the calls you'll ever book are from people within the first 48 hours. So this really speaks to the importance of how quickly you need to be on top of your leads and calling them as soon as they're opting in to make sure they're getting the help they're looking for, and you can be the first person that they're interacting with to book that call to get them the help. Now, a little bit of a hack here. The exact same principle applies for people who self-book. So just because someone self-books on your calendar doesn't mean you should just wait and cross your fingers and hope they show up to that sales call. No, I would be picking up the phone, and as soon as they self-book, calling them, introducing yourself. You can have this little talk track of like, hey, saw you just booked a call with our team. That's fantastic. Is there anything I can send you prior to that call to make it more productive? Just want to make sure you got the help you need. That's it. But now they're getting buy-in from another human being that they are going to be more or less guilted into showing up to that call, because they now are no longer just being able to ghost this faceless company where like a couple emails and texts, like that's easy to ghost. But if you call, introduce yourself, build a little rapport, make sure they're good for that time, the chances of them showing up to that call are way, way higher. All right, step number 3, follow-up tasks. This is going to seem like a basic kind of sales 101 thing, but some of you might not even be doing this. So I talked about in the last video, leveraging a CRM. And in that CRM, what you can do is not only update the pipeline stages of where they are, but also set tasks, keep notes, because when you are doing your follow-ups, and again, there's a cliche saying, fortunes are in the follow-up. If someone, can't recall the consequences of not taking action, what their goals are, what they're trying to achieve, why they even opted in for the first place, the chances of them being able to, in that moment, relive and remember the pain in the conversation is very, very low. But when you can resurface the pain they're currently living through, the fear of future pain that they may have, you're going to have some emotional leverage in a positive way. Because again, we're here to impact people and serve them, not just sell them for no reason, but help them make the decision necessary to get where they want to go. So very simply, you can set these follow-up tasks and reminders with your leads to stay on top of them and make sure you are not letting anyone slip through the cracks. Cool. Step number 4, hire SDRs. These are sales development reps. Some people call them setters. This is something now you can start to, I would be, depending on where your business is at, if you have it really dialed in, you may be able to get these people on commission only and give them 4 or 5% of any set closes that they make. If you're a little less established, I'd probably consider hiring in Latin America, maybe overseas somewhere where you can get labor at probably 10, 20% of what you would pay in the States, but for still competent, intelligent people who can get the job done regardless of the outcome, meaning they don't have to be tied to a commission. You could pay a commission on this as well, but at least their time is compensated for in the earlier stages of your business, where you still maybe just kind of still figuring out your sales process, your offer, your avatar, but it's a good way to not churn out salespeople and employees all the time. All right, step number 5, and then I got one little bonus here that's an extra for you, but let's talk about step number 5 and something we have just invested a lot of money into. Now, there are platforms out there called power dialers. Power dialers essentially let you automate the process by which you are calling your leads. Now, this might be hard to hear because you might be using different dialers out there. I've got some that we've used like Kixi or Wave. Those are great, but oftentimes they are kind of flying under the radar for a lot of telecommunication companies like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and those numbers are garbage phone numbers that get blacklisted. And what happens is when you're calling someone, if it's not displaying in a certain way that makes them feel like it's another human calling, or even worse, it says spam likely, the chances of you getting that pickup are very, very low. But a power dialer that I recommend is called Dialer, ironically. And Dialer is a company from Matt Ryder, little on the pricey side, but well worth it if you're looking to get pickup rates closer to 8 to 10%. and be able to dial in bulk. I'm not going to bore you with the logistics of how that works, but this is a really powerful way to pour gasoline on the fire and be able to hit up and work and nurture multiple leads at any given time without you having just to manually dial on your phone. Now, a little bit of tough love here. If you're just getting started, like, don't worry about all this advanced stuff yet. Just use your cell phone. Make sure you have a notification of when leads opt in. Call them quickly. It doesn't have to have all these layers of complications yet. You just need to, again, know how to fish for yourself so you never go hungry. Now, before I share with you this bonus, just one friendly ask. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying this series, and hit that like button so we help reach more people in the algorithm. And if you're considering what prospecting in a box might look like for your business, click on the link in the description. You can check that out and see if it makes sense for where you are at. But now, the bonus here, it's going to be something I call sell the sales call. And if you want more people to book appointments and actually show up to the appointments, selling the sales call is the process by which they need to have the perception that they will get value on that call, regardless of whether or not they buy. And the higher the likelihood they perceive they will get value, the more likely they will show up. Two very simple ways you can do this. One is just by simply naming your sales call, right? No one wants to do a free consultation or a strategy session or like a sales audit or calling it a sales call. People don't want to do that. But when you can pivot the name of the offer and the sales call to something that is value driven, benefit driven. So for us, it's prospecting in a box implementation call. And the idea is that, hey, on that call, this is now part 2 of selling your sales call, tell them what they're going to get. So for us, like, hey, on that call, we're going to map out a game plan for how you can go from where you are to where you want to be and get consistent sales calls and clients in your business, regardless of if we ever even work together. And this needs to be a through line for all of your communication that you have with your prospects, whether that's on the booking page, the nurture text, the nurture emails, your callers, your SDRs and setters. It is their job to sell the sales call and make someone feel that they're going to get value by showing up. One of my classic talk tracks when I get a set is like, hey, ultimately, we're going to see if this is a great fit for us to work together. And if for some reason that it's not, we're going to still make sure you get a lot of value out of that conversation and leave you in a better place than we found you and point you in the right direction with some personalized feedback. Because again, I want to sell the idea of actually showing up and being on that call and not make them feel like they just have to show up to some pitch fest that they're going to ultimately want to no show. So hopefully this has been helpful. This has been the quick, dirty version of our 7-figure appointment setting system. Stay tuned, because coming up next, we have part 4, which is going to be all around the one call close system and strategy you can implement to close clients even faster, condense your sales cycle, and win more business in less time. I'll see you in the next video. It should be linked up here, and I'm popping up on YouTube in just a moment, and link below in the description. Adios.